So a few videos ago, I promised that I would do a little introductory video. Okay, maybe it wasn't a promise, maybe it was a threat. But anyway, I wanted to do a little bit of my own history within wrestling. I'm not part of the business. I've made a few paychecks for magazine writing, but aside from my newsletter back in the late 90s and then the blog for the past 16 years, I'm just a fan. I'm just a mark. That's basically what we all are, even the wrestlers themselves. But that's another story for another time. Anyway, I'll do a separate thing about that. I just kind of wanted to highlight one of my own personal highlights, and that was an appearance in WWE Magazine. And what spurned my thoughts on it recently was about 6 months to a year ago, I found out that WWE Magazine had at least in 2007, I don't know how long it ran before or after, but in 2007 there was a Japanese edition. And how I found that out was that I found the Japanese version of the March 2007 WWE Magazine, which I happen to be a part of. And there he is, Batista on the cover promoting WrestleMania 23, which, was a big deal, as WrestleMania is every year, but had a lot of things going on that year, with the whole Battle of the Billionaires, and of course they wanted to do, a Hulk slamming someone, I think Khali deal, and it ended up being Kane and Khali, but, it was in Detroit. Aretha Franklin came out and did the America the Beautiful, so, it was one of the more, it definitely got press, especially with the whole Trump McMahon thing. So, in the this is the March issue. In the January issue, which I was not regularly buying at the time, I happened to be paging through it at Target, and I saw someone by the name of John Anderson had either written in or somehow had gotten a little blurb in the magazine about some stuff that he had, his collectibles, his collection, and at the end of it, it said, "Can anyone top that?" And I'm thinking, guy has some nice stuff, but, I have some great stuff, and it wasn't so much that, it was more or less opportunity. I'm thinking, hey, I could probably get in the magazine with this, or at least try. So I must have taken an email address down for one of the editors and emailed them, and I don't know if I put my phone number in or what, but I'd forgotten about it. And then I don't know how long it was later, but it was obviously before the March issue went to press. They called my landline. So I'm actually thinking, since I didn't give my cell phone number, that they must have looked me up. I really don't remember at this point. I mean, that was 18 years ago. And it was WWE calling, WWE on the line one morning before work. And I spoke to them, and they said, "Can you take some pictures of you with your stuff?" I said, "Sure." They said, "Do you have any highlights?" And I said, "Well, I'd mentioned some things. I think I mentioned that at that time I had Eddie Guerrero's autograph, and I do remember mentioning the Dynamite Kid LJN on the card, and we're going to get to that because that was a big point of contention for me. It was a big deal for them, and then, let's look at it. We're going to look at the appearance first. And again, this is the Japanese edition, which just gave me such a thrill when I found out it even existed. And there I am, and I took those photos, and there was, on top, you can see that was physical media, which I still own it all, but that was a different home, and that was shelving units that I don't have anymore, and I wouldn't have them up anymore anyway. But I had a huge physical media collection on display, DVDs and VHS of all companies. Then below that, I don't know how well that's going to come out. I just picked some magazines and programs. I can see signed Dusty, Martel, and Slaughter PWIs, and then signed Wrestling Yearbook with Bockwinkel, Funk, and Bruno, and then I see the Bruno Wrestling Action, which we'll be talking about the Wrestling Action magazines, programs, magazines, whatever soon, and then the signed first Survivor Series program. Then in the third picture, you see me just with a smattering of figures behind me, including some LJNs and the Dynamite Kid. Now, I will read you, I'm going to sort of paraphrase it, but this is what it says there in Japanese. It's on. In our January issue, John Anderson claimed his room was the most super of fan shrines. Not so, says JW of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with more than 1,500 figures, including an ultra-rare 1-of-5 Dynamite Kid, a slew of superstar autographs dating back to the 60s, and a collection that's worth close to $50,000. He might just be right. So, yeah, I think I quoted them the 50,000, which probably was right then. Wouldn't be right anymore. One of 5 Dynamite Kids. Now, let me clarify something. They had a fact checker call me twice. Once, I was on the toilet, but was I not going to pick up when WWE was calling? No. They had a fact checker call me twice, and twice they wanted to clarify the story of the Dynamite Kid. I never said it was one of 5. Every single time on all 3 calls, the initial call and the 2 fact checkers, I told them that I'd only ever seen about 5 Dynamite Kids on the card. There's more than 5. I think I've probably, since 18 years later, I've probably seen between 6 and 10 now. I mean, it's not impossible. I still own 9. But, it's just, they tried to get it right twice. 3 times, really. And that's the thing I hear about most when people see the article. And it was fun, though. It really was. And I'm honored that I was in a Japanese publication as well. Although I am in a Japanese Americana magazine as well. Faraway shot. With Brooke Hogan and Hulk on the cover. But, it was an honor to be in the magazine. It really was, to be a part of a publication that I'd been reading since I was a kid, and which is no longer in print. So I made it. Just like I made it into the PWI family of magazines, which was my dream since I was 9 years old. And we'll be talking about that with plenty of show and tell features. But again, WWE Magazine, and the best story is that a week after it came out, I was in line at an indie show, and a guy turns around and says, "You're the guy from the magazine." Yeah. Wrestling fans, we love you all. From all of us, and from the guy in the magazine.